Hello, and welcome to the Intel Brief. I'm your host, Daniel, and today we're going to talk about Trump has threatened the BBC with a £1 billion lawsuit. Zelenskyy has vowed accountability after corruption probe, and India's Modi has vowed to not spare those behind the Delhi car blast. So firstly, US President Donald Trump's team has sent a letter to the BBC threatening to sue the UK-based public broadcaster for $1 billion or 865 million euros. His lawyers said the broadcaster must retract the controversial documentary by Friday or face a lawsuit for no less than $1 billion. The letter follows the resignation of the BBC Director General Tim Davie and the Chief Executive of News, Deborah Turnus, on Sunday after claims that the documentary aired by the flagship Panorama program misled viewers. The program allegedly spliced together two separate excerpts from one of Trump's speeches, creating the impression that he was inciting the January 6th Capitol riot. So what? It's not surprising that Trump's going after the BBC. He has made his feelings towards the organisation pretty clear, as what not just the BBC, but normal mainstream broadcasters in general. So yeah, it's not surprising that he's going after them, as this was a pretty egregious thing to do, and something that I definitely think they should be held accountable for. Though maybe not $1 billion, because that is crazy. It's just a crazy amount of money. While this media article says that it's alleged, if you go watch other videos on the internet that talk about how they actually did it, it is very clear that they did splice together two parts of that Trump speech on January 6th to make it seem way more egregious than it really was. So yeah. They definitely did what he's accusing him of. So it'll be interesting to see if they back down. I think they will, as they're currently absolutely shitting the bed over it. But I think that's rightfully so. I think they definitely need to be taken to task over this, not just this era, but just what they've been getting up to recently. And it's good to see them actually get caught out. And next, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy has pledged that anyone involved in corruption will face justice following a sweeping investigation into alleged kickbacks in the country's energy sector. Everyone who put together a corrupt scheme must receive a clear legal response. There must be criminal verdicts, Zelenskyy said in his nightly address on Monday. He emphasized that Ukraine's state nuclear power operator must operate free from graft, calling integrity at Energoatom and across the energy sector is a national priority. So what? Clearing out corruption is going to be a massive task for Zelenskyy. Before the war, Ukraine was seen as the most corrupt country in Europe, so more corrupt than Russia, I believe. And he's taken lots of pretty good steps. He's done a lot to try and sort it out. But this is just one of a pile of corruption schemes that have been identified during the war, involving both civilian infrastructure, other government contracts, and military procurement. But the fact that they're calling it out publicly and identifying it shows that they are trying to weed it out. And to make this one even more awkward, I think Zelenskyy's friend, a close friend of Zelenskyy, is the head of the energy organization that has been caught, and he was found with significant amounts of money in his possession. So, yeah, it's not a good look for Zelenskyy, but it's good to see that they're still pushing to try and crack down on this type of corruption, as it's a massive issue. And lastly, Indian police are investigating a deadly car blast in the capital under a law used to fight terrorism, they said on Tuesday. Prime Minister Modi vowed to bring justice to all those responsible. The explosion near the historic Red Fort on Monday evening killed at least 8 people and injured 20. It was the first such blast in a heavily guarded city of more than 30 million since 2011. Okay. So what? I think it's pretty clear that this was a terrorist attack of some degree. Who is responsible is yet to be found, but it seems likely that it'll be Islamist extremists coming out of Pakistan, would be my, hunch based on historic trends in India. And it's likely that that is who Modi and the Indian government will blame it on. So yeah, it's a pretty significant attack. There's some pretty wild videos. It was clearly a large explosion, and it kind of goes to show that these risks are still very prevalent in this part of the world, and that terrorists are always trying to, make an attack and make an impact in the world news. So yeah, pretty sad. It'll be. I don't know whether the bomber was one of the 8 people killed, or whether the car was parked and blown up. Those details haven't come out from what I've seen. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they follow this up, or if they just start broad brush blaming Islamic extremism coming out of Pakistan, which wouldn't be unlikely for India. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do. Anyway, thank you for listening to the Intel Brief. I've been your host, Daniel, and I'll see you again tomorrow. See you!